A thread by Carlos Oswita. Would President Trump troll like this if he were worried? From Breitbart. Trump, they say you cannot win without big tech. We're going to find out. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Here's why Trump will win big. He didn't campaign as though he thought he had it in the bag. The Biden folks didn't even have a ground game. They campaigned as though they had it in the bag. Let's talk in terms of the terrorist attack in Vienna. The guy was an Albanian, born and raised in Austria. He was a petty criminal and had been previously jailed for terrorist activities, but they had mercy on him. And he showed them what he thought of their mercy. I watched several videos of the attack. Understandably, people panicked and ran, sometimes in giant crowds, but they didn't know where they were running. It was a mess. When fired on, the Austrian beat cops also ran, which is totally understandable. But you can't outrun bullets from an AK-47. One poor man tried to meld into the wall in an alley and he was shot multiple times. So, in Saudi Arabia, the beat cops have been trained to stand their ground and fire back. They're told, if you run, you will die. If you stand and fight, you have a better than 50-50 chance of living. So they stand their ground and they always win. The reason is simple. The cops are better shots and they pour a high volume of fire into the terrorist. And the cops don't lose their nerve. Link in the thread, Saudi police killing a terrorist. A good job. #defeat terrorism. Point blank gun battle between two cops and two terrorists. Glock pistols on the cops versus AK-47s for the terrorists. The cops win. Trump is not a real underdog, but he fights as though he is. The Mumbai terrorist attack haunts me because the train station guards had .303 SMLE rifles. It's a bolt action rifle, but the round is so powerful that a calm marksman could have easily killed the terrorists right there and then. One shot for each terrorist. Link in the thread, 1943 Enfield No. 4 MKI, 10 shots in 9 seconds. From a kneeling position, link in the thread, SN Paul firing 31 rounds from a .303 bolt-action rifle. If you accept that trying to flee will doom you, then you can stand and fight. Trump is a fighter. Not only that, he enjoys beating the odds. The harder the challenge, the more Trump loves the fight. And the absurdist humor from past fiction is now reality. Remember this truly brilliant scene? Link in the thread to The Jerk. He hates these cans. Guy shooting cans, but he's missing him and hitting cans, and he thinks he hates the cans. It's hilarious. Check it out. Guess what? It's now real life. BLM Antifa are rioting because they hate Windows. That's what the civil unrest is all about. They hate Windows. Fuck your window, you piece of shit. The reason plywood boards protect stores is that the plywood hides windows. President Trump, BLM Antifa hate windows. Think of the ways you could drive them insane. Erect federal buildings in red states that look like this. Put them just out of reach of BLM Antifa. They'll spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out how to get to them. Windows, windows, windows. Ah! Sploosh. That's the sound of an exploding head. The Democrats ran the most madcap, politically suicidal campaign in American history. And Trump stood and fought. Remember Stephen Crane's poem, This Was a Different Era, as I'll explain in a second. Once, I saw mountains angry and ranged in battlefront. Against them stood a little man. He was no bigger than my finger. I laughed and spoke to one near me. Will he prevail? Surely, replied this other. His grandfathers beat them many times. Then did I see much virtue in grandfathers, at least for the little man who stood against the mountains. In Stephen Crane's day, the mountains weren't insane. In this election, the little man has all the advantages. His grandfather defeated the mountains before the mountains lost their minds. And the grandson is loving every second of the fight.